morning. Happy Friday. Hi, Rodney. I love you. I'm listening to a sermon, on the way to work. And then I decide to go into the Just for Today. And they tied in perfectly. The sermon's random. It comes on my YouTube randomly. I like that it does that because it seems to always work out with what I'm dealing with, or it ties in with something else. And today, it seemed to tie in with the Just for Today, randomly. I don't know if I necessarily believe in random anymore, just like I don't believe in coincidences anymore. It's in that random and the coincidences that drove me for so long to keep my paranoia, that and substance abuse, whatever the substance was. I was talking to somebody the other day about my drug of choice, and my drug of choice is usually whatever I'm dealing with at that time, whether it's a person, whether it's dope, alcohol, shopping, weightlifting, whatever. It's usually my drug of choice. And when it becomes my drug of choice, that's when my will kicks in. And that's one of the reasons I am bringing this up, because today's Just for Today is about surrendering my self-will. What a concept, to surrender my self-will. Does that mean all the time? I don't think so. I think it's when it's my drug of choice that's kicking in. It's usually a person. Used to be a drug. But in the context of recovery, it was any substance I could get my hand on. Whether it was one thing or the other. Usually when things are out of control, if I just take a step back and I look at it, I usually see my self-will all over that. If I'm tripping on a relationship and I'm not getting responded the way I want to, not responded to the way I'm supposed to, just the way I want to, my self-will kicks in, and then all of a sudden my thoughts are spiraling, and then that hamster wheel is going. And how do I keep that all under wraps? Because it's going to happen over and over again. It happens regularly. So if I accept that it's happening regularly, I don't necessarily know if I need to accept that that's the way I'm always going to be, because then I'm taking ownership of the fact that I'm never going to work on it. I'm never going to change it. But if I accept the fact that it's the way it is right now, for now, then I have a better perspective over what I can do about it. It's turning it over for me. I'm so grateful that I have a power greater than myself to be able to turn something like that over to it. So, do I surrender all the time? Has been this big question for me for a while. If I let go and let God lead, when? And I'd like to believe that in most things, right? And I say that where I want to keep some of the control, because it's so hard to say in everything But if I let God lead, always, maybe the concept would be better if I understand that God's never going to not have me go to work, take care of myself, and fuck shit up. Like, he's never gonna say, like, if I give him the control, he's never gonna say, all right, so don't go to work, I'm gonna take care of these bills. That's not what it's about. Time and time again have I turned over whatever it is to God fully, and I can say that with conviction, and it worked out properly. It worked out the way it was supposed to work out. So yeah, turning my will over has to be an all the time thing. And even in doing this video, this diary, I sit here and say most of things because I'm challenged with it. Like, I need to be able to turn everything over. My relationship, my future, all my thoughts. And I pray that I can get to a point in my life that I can do that, where I can, like, I got a situation this morning that bothered me, and I want to go in with guns blazing, right? You know, metaphorically speaking. And I got to turn that over, and I got to process and pray about it, so I don't come off with a bad behavior. I find that the more and more I turn my life and my will over to the care of God, that the less and less there is chaos and serenity kicks in. And to understand intention, and where are my intentions at? I'm in a really good place. I mean, 2 more days and I'll be on that 60 days till I'm 2 years clean. And I've heard people that know me, that are close to me, say this is where it was dangerous last time. And I don't know if they necessarily know my story, because it was dangerous a year in. Once I got a year clean, it was dangerous. Because it was like 3 months after I got 2 years that I got loaded. But the more and more I think about it, it's always a dangerous time if I'm keeping my will in play. I like how the pastor said, you know, they were like, what's the 5-year plan? And he's like, have you seen what's going on in the world? We don't know what's going to happen in the next 3 years. I don't know what this sermon's going to look like in the next 10 minutes. I really like that approach. It doesn't mean that he's not going to stand up there and preach, and he's not going to say what he set out to say. It's just, things happen. Things will always happen that may disrupt the flow. We don't get this email from our higher power that says, in about 3 weeks on a Tuesday at 4 p.m., shit's about to go south. Be prepared. You know, my car is going to break down, or, you know, that's where I'm going to be tripping about work, or something's going to happen in my relationship. I don't get that email. That's where the beauty of faith comes in. And when I let my will take over, I could have somebody reach out to me and say, hey. Now, it's an interesting thing when they text that, because that word can be said with like 5 different emotions and mean 5 different things. And then if there's like a long pause between the response, my will kicks in. And then if I go and try to control the randomness of what's going on, all of a sudden a song comes on over the loudspeaker. And I'm like, oh no, here we go. And it's interesting. Like, I'll do this exercise with salespeople, or, you know, especially young, like new salespeople, young salespeople, fresh salespeople. They don't have to be young. Somebody new in the game. And I'll say, hey, I want you to imagine you're calling one of your clients, and when you call, you say, hey, this is, you know, Rodney with ABC Motors. And they say, oh shit. And then I say, and I go around like 4 or 5 of them, and I ask them, so what's going on in their head? And it's like, for the last 25 years, I've gotten the same response. This is the same exercise that was played with me when I got in the game. They don't like that I called. They're tired of me calling. They're not interested in what I have. They're bothered. They don't like me. All of that. And then I wait till they get around. And then I say, well, okay, how about if he dropped his coffee? How about if somebody cut him off? How about if he just remembered that he forgot it was his anniversary? You know, shit like that happens. All these other things other than them not liking you. And yet, I've done that exercise for so long, you know, over 20 years, and I can get a text message that says, hey, the song Say Something comes on, and I'm already in fucking failure mode, right? That's my will. And when do I apply my will? When the text happens? No. I apply my will when the hamster wheel kicks in. My disease, the devil, however you want to look at it, it plays out. It's like he's got these strings. Or, how about this? He's got that line out there connected to his fishing pole. The text comes through, he feels a little nibble, and then all of a sudden the song kicks on, and I'm already into the 50 different negative things that are happening. He feels the tug, and he's like pulling, and he's like, oh yeah, I got his ass. Right? Now he's throwing out more bait. You ain't shit. Here's some more. They don't like you. Here's some more. You're too much. Here's some more. It didn't work out with the last one. You know, like just all this bait. And he's just like tugging away. You know, the puppet master of my disease, my insecurities. You know, that's the nature of the beast. And so being able to get that and say, oh wait, I'm gonna turn this over, is the goal. Do I do that? No, not. I do it, but it takes a minute. But it used to take days, weeks, and years. And instead of turning it over, what I did is I got loaded. If that fishing pole was going crazy and he's got a gang of bait out there, what I used to do is just get loaded. All right, now I can forget about it. And make no mistake, he's still fishing the whole time I'm getting loaded, except for now he's throwing more bait in the water. And the water's just covered with blood over one little fish that meant nothing. It's just a thought. So turning my life and my will over in those situations is important. Surrendering my life and my will over. If I don't surrender it, how can I turn it over? If I can't accept that I'm this way right now, how am I going to be able to surrender it? I'm truly grateful that these tools that I've obtained over the last 6 years, maybe longer, actually since 2017, so geez, 9 years, 10 years, I'm now putting into place. And it has everything to do with me being clean, working on myself, being healthy, being impeccable with my work, internally, externally, It's why I feel that I'm in a healthy relationship. It's why I feel healthy to myself. It's why I feel that I'm doing good. I was tripping about this bill, and then they called. It was, oh yeah, if you've watched before, I got this ticket. Well, I'm paying like 3 payments on it, and I paid it, and then I totally spaced it, and then I was thinking about it at the gym. Fuck, dude, I gotta call them. And then they called and said, hey, you set up this arrangement, we're calling. I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it. And I paid it while I was working out. God's funny like that. Works out like that. They're like, you're squared. We'll talk to you next month. And I'm like, yes. So, anyways, now I'm babbling. It's all good. Turn my life and my will over to the care of God. Everything will work out. Have a good day.